So, Elliot,
Hello.
what if, right, there was a Counter-Strike Royal Rumble?
I like it.
Which teams would come out first, second?
Oh, you were doing... I was doing players. I was thinking if it was players.
Nah, it's got to be teams, surely.
Oh, okay. Because I wanted Mauisnake and apEX coming out at 1 and 2.
That'd be Mauisnake and Snacks.
No. Snacks is number 30.
Oh,
Snacks
okay.
Snacks is the finisher.
We'll do both. We'll
Okay.
do both. All right. First, second, and 30th. Let's go. Players first. You say yours, and let me think of mine.
Yeah, so apEX and Mauisnake come out first. Snacks is number 30. I think eventual winner. I was really struggling with eventual winner. I was trying to think of something. I just got a feeling like Blade. Just think Blade's going to kill somebody.
Okay. So obviously, the first half of the Rumble, that's the easy half.
That is the easy half.
So we're going to have Stown and Zywu come out first and second. They can stat pad. They'll go quite deep, but we know when it gets to the big boys.
Stown eco-fragging in the Royal Rumble.
They're going to fall apart.
Like Nia Jax.
And then 30th, we'll have...
I think Snacks comes out to the Undertaker's music.
I want to say Snacks as well, because he'll come out 30th and then look his way to a win by really someone else has done the heavy lifting.
The thing is, it's got to be somebody. There's like three answers. It's got to be somebody with pure aura. So it's like Snacks, Flusher, or like somebody who's actually good, like Nico.
No, that's I've thought of it. It is Nico. Because he's got the aura. You said the aura, you've sparked it right. It is Nico, because he's going to come out 30th, and everyone's like, fucking hell, he's actually going to win it this time. He's going to do it. He's got the best possible number, and he's out.
Yeah. And then Snacks, he's going to like military press him out of the ring within seconds.
Okay. Team based. What you got? Do you want me to go first? Give you some time?
Yeah, you go first.
So first and second, right? It's either going to be people who win, or people who, are going to go the distance. If it's people who win, just give me Na'Vi and Spirit. Or, Spirit and Vitality. People who are going to go at each other. It's going to be fun. And then, 30th, I just feel like it's either way, it's got to be FaZe, because they've got their bullshit points. Just FaZe bullshit points. But the other option, I think, would be... Eternal Fire and the Mongols. I think that would be a fun start to the team-based Rumble.
See, I was thinking Mouse and Gamer Legion, because they are group stage warriors. You got to get them in as early as possible.
True.
Because they are going to struggle later on. When John Cena starts coming out, Mouse are scared. They are in trouble.
John Cena comes out and hits an AA on Gym Fat.
Mouse are literally like... You know the concept of aura farming?
Yes.
Mouse are aura plants. They're ready to be reaped. They're gonna get till number 18 comes in. We're gonna send in FaZe.
Bron Breaker and Jacob Fatu.
They're gonna send in Vitality. Mezzi's gonna hit him with a spear, and he's gonna Mouse is just gonna go through the ropes.
Can you imagine Mezzi hitting a spear? I really want to see that now.
Might be the only good use of AI.
Now, I don't support the use of AI, but if anyone wants to create that, I am all for it. That's all I'm
absolutely.
saying. Let's talk about Counter-Strike in a slightly more serious manner. Not too serious, because we're not HLTV confirmed and we actually like people to have fun.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about the Kato Play-in last week because it hadn't actually happened yet. It has now happened. You got any thoughts off the bat? Do you want to? Should we go evil mode on something? Should we do it? Are we feeling it?
Look, I'm just happy MIBR didn't get through. That's what, I was only there to hate watch MIBR. They went out. Let's start on a more positive note. I really thought Virtus Pro were worse than they were. They weren't even that good in play-in, but they got through the play-in. And, what brought this up is they did beat MIBR. And I was like, well, that wins against MIBR aren't really canon, but it was more than I was expecting from them, which is weird given I'm so high on Fame and Flit as a duo.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
They're legit.
I didn't. Okay. Right, they got through the play-in, right? And granted, I didn't expect them to get through the play-in either. It's just the play-in, though.
Oh, we'll get on to that in a bit. Virtus Pro, who did better than I thought.
They lost to play-in.
MIBR and Saw. But that's not really the point.
yeah, no, exactly. Oh, they're legit, like...
They are legit, but not because of the play-in, yeah.
We'll get to why they might be okay later on, but that play-in means fuck all if they beat fucking MIBR and Saw. Come on.
Getting through the play-in means absolutely nothing, but I kind of expected them to go out in the play-in, so...
Like FlyQuest, that brought me joy.
Awful team.
I will say, the best thing FlyQuest have done in years is that fucking skit that ESL had them doing. Do you see that one? They went off and did some paint and decorate. That was quite enjoyable.
There's been some really good skits.
There has been. ESL have been really well.
ESL's content team have been firing.
The Brokey one was good. I like the Brokey one.
Yeah, the one where they told Blade he's just a coach. Excellent stuff. The one where they cancelled Wobble, that was good as well.
Oh, that one was really good, actually. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, some excellent skit.
On the flip side, G2's skit that they put out with the supermarket was...
I haven't seen it.
Oh,
I haven't seen it, so I won't...
It was an org trying to make content.
G2's content's normally okay.
Yeah, this one was a bit flat. It was a bit flat. Heroic went out... I mean, first, Complexity went out really funny. Really funny. Dead last.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, Complexity. Like the teams who go out last, Complexity, we expected nothing from.
Complexity versus Liquid, by the way, miserable game that was. That are two teams that were fighting each other very hard to be the worst team on the server.
I think that was on the A stream, so I wasn't watching it.
Oh my god, was it map? Was it a 2-0? Yeah, it was map 2, man. Like map 1 was like a kind of whatever. Map 2, fucking hell. That was two teams trying so hard to be terrible.
Yeah. Oh, was it that game? No, there was a Complexity game I did watch that I wanted to talk about. It was against Eternal Fire. It was their first game of the tournament. There was a round I want to talk about, which was their CT side pistol on Anubis, which is, and I don't use this lightly, maybe the worst round I've ever seen in professional Counter-Strike from the point of view of Complexity.
I didn't watch this one, so you're going to have to... Set the scene.
It was
Make
quite
casting debut.
It was quite close at the half. So it was like going into the second half. It's quite interesting. And Eternal Fire, Anubis, they decide they're going to go A on the pistol. So they set up this smoke.
I've just looked at the final score, by the way, when you said it was quite close.
It was close at the half. Close at the half.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean.
Yeah, it was close at the half. And Eternal Fire decide they're going to go A on the pistol round. So they throw the smoke heaven. They throw the smoke, or they might have only thrown the smoke camera, I'm not sure. They execute the site, and they find there's absolutely nobody there. Complexity were playing 4B, 1 deep mid, with no kit, and no info. Eternal Fire planted A. Complexity didn't realise they were A until the bomb went down, and then they saved. They didn't even attempt to win the pistol round. They played passive with 4B, 1 mid, didn't realise it was A until the bomb was down, and then saved, except one of them died trying to kill somebody.
You must have some kind of mad read to do that.
So, the one does on commentary was really funny, because he was like, oh, they've left the site open, and wait, hang on, they don't have a kit. They don't even know it's... And you could just hear, like, in real time, his brain just start working. I mean, he seemed to think somebody messed up and wasn't in the place it was supposed to be, or didn't buy the kit like they were supposed to, or something.
I mean, that's a possibility. I think the only other thing I'd guess is maybe Eternal Fire go B all the fucking time, which I don't think is true.
No.
And maybe Eternal Fire also have a bad conversion rate. So you... banking on potentially saving and
no, that's insane. It's not that. It can't be that.
Well, no, But I'm now deciding whether me saying that means, do I think complexity are that bad, or do I think they were trying to be smarter than they are? Which I guess is both either way.
Somebody fucked up, but it may be the worst round I've ever seen. They left the site open and didn't play retake. It was so stupid. I mean, from there, I don't think they won a round after that.
No, they didn't. That's what I mean. That's why I pulled the face halfway through, because you said it was close, and I looked. I was like, I wonder how close. 6-6 half, by the way.
Yeah, I thought it was, but I wasn't certain. Yeah, it was like a close game in the first half, and then they just decided to play retake without attempting to retake and lost the round. That was their highlight.
Yeah. Are you surprised Heroic went out?
I am. I'm very surprised Heroic went out. I can't even remember who they lost to Big. Big. Oh, that was
Big. Ran over them.
Yeah,
Big made really light work of them.
I watched Big play Wildcard, and they looked awful. I mean, they looked terrible. And then they played Imperial female. Less said about that game, the better. That was a walkover. And then somehow they battered Heroic by even more. I watched both of those teams play, and there was no possible sign that was going to be a 2-0 to Big in the first games. There was no way that was a 2-0.
Liquid in their first game. They then just had to play Eternal Fire, and good luck.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. Like, they looked decent, and Big looked awful. Big were getting destroyed by JBA. I refuse to call him Jaber. It's JBA.
Yeah, Jaber's ridiculous. That's been pissing me off, by the way.
JBA is much better. It's a much better name.
Jaber, fuck off.
Yeah, he was just dicking them down, and then they come up against Heroic, who were just looked like a much better team, and Big just split them open. Hyped just
I
had the best game of his life.
I honestly don't know what to say about that Big Heroic game, because Big aren't that good.
No.
I just don't know. That Big aren't that good.
Hyped's rating is 4.5 times what some pilots is. That's not normal. It's not real.
Yeah, I'd just like to move on from that game, to be honest. Because I don't know what to say about it other than fair fucks.
Yeah.
I guess. Gamer Legion?
They're good. Again. It's quite frustrating.
It's not frustrating because I like them, but I am annoyed at myself. Because when I finally gave up on Rez, he's now decided to go to a new team and he's playing out of his fucking mind.
Yeah, he is actually playing well for the first time since 2017.
But you know what though, right? So I interviewed Ash just before Bounty, and Ash was just like, well, has he ever actually been inconsistent? And I'm not going to challenge Ash. I'm not fucking doing that. I don't have the balls for that, right? But I was there thinking, he kind of has. So
I wouldn't say he was inconsistent. I think he was pretty consistently bad since 2017.
Well, I pushed him a little further, and Ash was like, well, what is Rez meant to do if he's on a team of 4 people who aren't shooting back?
That is true.
He basically said there is no way Rez could have ever hoped to be consistent or even good on NIP. With that team, it's just impossible. He was like, so if you actually look at his ratings and take that into context, they're not actually bad at all. And I had a little look afterwards, and I was like, do you know what? He might have a point. And if it might be time to buy the res stocks now. And
the thing is, though, you could have said that about any player who's played for NIP. You could have gone, oh, what was he supposed to do when he had 4 players who weren't shoot back? You could include Rez in those 4. You could have said it about any of them. You could have said, oh, what was Hamper supposed to do? He had 4 players who weren't shooting back. It would have been hard to argue.
I mean, maybe, but I feel like Rez was probably the most consistent performer the whole time.
I thought Hampers was, but he's gone off the boil massively.
You overrated him by a fair bit.
I overrated him because he had a terrible... as we just mentioned, he had players who didn't shoot back, and he had them top 8 at one point while in-game leading.
He had all the standing bullshit, which I do feel sorry for him about. But yeah, Game of Legion looks solid. PR looks like a good pickup. Like
He
I
was
think,
so good in the
yeah,
main stage.
I think
my God.
Game of Legion could climb this year.
Yeah, they're probably like 10th right now.
I'll say it now. They make Austin playoffs. Not surprised.
Yeah, I think top 8 is not out of the realm of possibility by any stretch. I
But
think
you give them a
they're
clean.
probably like 8th in the world now.
You give them a clean 6 months to improve.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, like, I'm looking at the teams who are above them who we're pretty sure are going to drop, and it's like, yeah, this is possible. I mean, Mongols, Eternal Fire, Na'Vi, Spirit, Vitality, let's say FaZe, because they don't go away, as like your top 6. Oh, G2 as your top 7. Falcons,
Mau's
maybe
are
8th?
dropping off.
Yeah,
Mau's
exactly.
are going to drop off.
Like, you're looking at like Falcons, which is possible, Game of Legion.
I mean, Fury are ahead of them, which is hilarious.
Yeah, they're better than Fury. Yeah.
Liquid, in 6 months' time, I see no reason why Game of Legion don't beat them.
Yeah, I agree. I think Liquid are better than you thought they were going to be, but they're still not as good as like the public perception is. Do you think that's fair?
How good do you think I think they are?
I don't know. You had them going like 0-2 at the 0-3 at the last major or something. So I don't think you think.
Oh, but that was just a bit more of a funny. I do think they're better than that.
Yeah.
I don't think this Liquid team is terrible because I don't think you can have a core of naff, nerds, and twists and be terrible.
Yeah, that's kind of.
I don't think it works like that. My problem is that they have a core of naff, nerds, and twists.
Yeah.
And they're not as good as they should be. Like you cannot tell me, and I know me and you have the slight meme thing of Jame and Norbert, right? But you cannot tell me that if they didn't,
it's not a meme. I'm not joking, by the way.
No,
I'm not joking.
I'm not either, but I'm not sure that team would be able to talk to each other.
Don't need to.
I feel like James' system probably needs a reasonable amount of talking.
Do you really think Fame listened to a word James said? Not a chance.
Fair enough. But, like, you have that core, a lack of a real IGL, like, an AWPer who can't play against the top 10 team. Like, if you get a better AWPer in there, and you get a real IGL in there, that's a top 5 team. And that's my issue with Liquid, the fact that they aren't top 5.
Top 8, I think. I think there's always going to be 5 better teams. Even with that rifle core. Unless the AWPer is, like, Monacy.
I don't think so.
I do. I don't think... Because I think for them to be better than, like, the Mongols, they have to be far superior in talent. Because I just don't think... I think the way the Mongols play, them being a national team and being so talented, I think communication-wise they're going to struggle.
I'm sorry. I see no reason why, if you don't get a real IGL and a more consistent across-the-board AWPer than Ultimate into that team, they can't be... Okay, between 5 and 7th with FaZe.
Yeah, between 5 and 7th, I think.
Okay, between
top
5 and
5,
8th.
I think.
Between 5 and 8th, and we'll add the Mongols in. But I think they could be top 5 anyway, if you got, like,
maybe
particularly good players. Like, you can't just get someone who's better across the board, like fucking OC. Because OC is better across the board, by the way.
Yeah.
But, like...
OC, my problem with OC was always his brain. Like, his hands were perfectly good enough to play top-level Counter-Strike.
Did also miss some very easy shots occasionally.
So does Shiro.
Hit some fucking nuts ones. Well, yeah.
Shiro misses dollies all the time. It doesn't matter.
But, like, if you get just an AWPer who is better against, like, the top level and maintains his level against worse teams, and a real definitely. IGL between 5th and 8th is a guarantee, because they're already 9th. It's just right now, like, apart from Mouse, because you know what we've said about Mouse, and...
Yeah, well, Mouse are fucked. The thing is, Sui fixes most of Liquid's problems. He just does.
Yeah. But, like, that's the thing, like, they're 9th right now, But apart from Mouse, I don't see them beating teams ahead of them consistently.
A Game Allegiant or Liquid?
No, Liquid.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
You get an AWPA that can play at that level. You get an IGL. I don't see why they can't beat teams like that consistently. Like the teams ahead of them up until 5th. And like FaZe half the year are terrible. You can easily take FaZe half the year. But they are, like, FaZe half the year will either be, like, in the last game before playoffs, or they'll be in the quarterfinals and go out every time.
It's
like,
that's the thing, we'll get onto FaZe in it. It's absolutely pointless talking about it. I know nothing. You learn nothing from watching FaZe every event. Like, you just learn nothing. No idea how good they are.
You can tell when FaZe are good, because it's obvious. When they're not good, it's like, well, they're not good right now. But when there's a crowd, I don't know, something might happen.
Yeah, it's just like, you have to believe in magic to believe in FaZe, but they just consistently do tricks. So it's like, so I've checked the bottom of the bottle. There is no hole in it. I don't know where this coin's coming from. They keep doing magic tricks. They have to be magic. There's no other way of putting it. Like, Brokey is an actual magician. He is simultaneously the best and the worst player in the world.
Yeah, I was going to bring up Brokey. Like, he's so bad.
Yeah,
but then,
we talked enough
one
about...
day, he's just like, I'm nuts now.
The last thing I talk about in the play-in was I thought 3D Max looked really, really good. And I actually thought they had a chance of getting, maybe not into the playoffs, but getting some wins in the main stage. I thought they looked really, really good.
I'm glad you've said that. I just don't care because I don't like them.
No, well, I don't particularly like them, but I do think they're actually quite good.
Old enemies and whatnot.
Let's go on to the main stage.
I see you don't want to be a bit evil. But all I'll say is hard stuck in main. Have been for a while.
They had a stand-in. I'm not willing to put my neck on the line for a team playing with a stand-in.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it after Cluj.
Yeah, fine.
Because we need to have a conversation at some point.
Yeah. I think the problem is if you do it now, it just looks bad because you've got to stand in.
Yeah, well, I've seen a team with a stand-in win, Kato. So
have I, but you know what I mean. It's not their full roster. Like,
okay. Oh, actually, we did want to have a quick... No, but we did actually want to have a quick mention because we couldn't decide if we were going to be evil or not. Furious Mirage, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? So, like, the big that people were pointing to for Imperial being, like, actually at this level is that they nearly beat Fury on Mirage. Furious Mirage is awful. They don't win on Mirage. So... yeah, okay, you did nearly beat Fury on a map that everyone beats them on. It's like, their win rate on it's like pathetic, like 30% over the last 6 months. Yeah, last 6 months they've played it 20 times, and they're 6-14. And one of those wins is against Imperial.
Yeah,
they got battered by Na'Vi at this event. They lost to Betboom and Amiga at Blast Bounty on it. They've lost to FaZe, Vitality, Mouse, Virtus.pro, Eternal Fire, Spirit, Aurora, 9 Pandas, Vitality, and Liquid on it in the last 6 months.
Granted, they've lost to a lot of decent teams.
Yes.
And
they've
I
won
think
it against...
If that's your record, you should just stop fucking playing it.
Yeah. I'm not sure why they don't ban it. Because they are terrible at Mirage. They're really bad at it.
Really bad at it. And they would have lost it if Imperial had their full roster. But yeah, we spoke about the play-in enough. I just remembered that was the thing we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, no, Furious Mirage, please stop picking it. Stop playing
so now
it.
We spoke about it. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was obviously we had our little rant about Tier 2 a couple of weeks ago now. I believe some of the CCTs are now ranked again, and I think Elisa yesterday were talking about having some tournaments.
Yeah.
Don't really know, not really what I want to talk about, because I want to talk about the fact that all of it seems like it might just be a bit too late anyway, considering Endpoint, a team that have never been fantastic, but have always been there, especially for the UK scene, has decided to put their Counter-Strike division on hold because it's just not worth keeping it.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, what? there's no there's no dream anymore. You can't make it to a major and make loads of money, because to make it to a major you have to win 100 CCTs to get an invite to one Blast event where you're the 32nd seed, so you immediately play Na'Vi and lose.
Yeah.
How are you ever supposed to get to bigger events as a small team? How are you ever supposed to get to the major?
I mean, well, it's literally the second paragraph of their announcement. Just says, there is no denying that the current iteration of our Counter-Strike department has not been performing as we or the players themselves expect. Alongside this, which is fair, whatever. Alongside this, the landscape of Counter-Strike has changed dramatically, so whilst we retain the goal of making the major with our recent form and changes to the invitation process, that goal is now probably the furthest away than it has ever been. And do you know what the thing with that is? Right? Like, they go on to talk about how it's really hard to actually get the VRS points, and the VRS eligible events are invite only, so it's now a smaller and more internal ecosystem, whatever. The thing with that is, though, an Endpoint as an organisation will have experienced this before, so they're an organisation that will appreciate this. Form is temporary.
Yeah.
Form is temporary, and, you know, in a few months' time, they might find a player, as they've done countless times before, that really gives them a boost that means that, you know, they have in the past, they end up at a tournament somehow, or they end up being able to push to get to those tournaments. Like, remember, Endpoint beat Na'Vi like 2 years ago in a pro league.
Yeah.
Like, and they had nerds at the time. Like, this used to be possible.
Yeah.
And potentially off that, at some point, you know, you could catapult yourselves. It's just not possible anymore.
No, it's not.
And they will know that form is temporary, but the second half is the important part. That it doesn't matter, because with the bad form, it just makes it hopeless.
Yeah. Like, you actually just... I'd like to say as well, like, we've been more and more trying to strip away the randomness. And I hate that term. Strip away the randomness from majors by getting rid of teams that people haven't heard of. Which is what it is. It's not. It was never about bad teams being in the major, because it was about teams that qualified by beating other teams. Like, when Dream Eaters made it to the major, they beat other teams. They didn't get there because they drew a fucking lot. Like, they got there because they beat people. The only way you can definitively prove you're better than somebody is beating them in Counter-Strike. There's no, like, it doesn't matter if your ranking's higher than them. If you can't beat them, I don't care. You're not better than them. So on a event-to-event basis, how can you know the best teams are at the major if it's based on how good they were at Blast Bounty 3 months ago? It should just be the best 16 team or the best 32 teams at that moment in time, which should be determined by who beats the other team. Like, to me, it's so obvious, and we've restricted it more and more, and I think it's actually had the opposite effect to what people wanted anyway. Like, back in the day, you tended to get 2 of the better teams in the final. We've had Gamer Legion in a major final in the last 2 years, like, which is not what the people who did this wanted.
Well, as well, right? So Snappy tweeted yesterday. It is because Exist said something about who decides VRS or why do tiers decide VRS, whatever. And Snappy retweeted it saying, it's borderline impossible to grind rank. At Counter-Strike, you've fully closed down the entire system and you are killing organisations not already ranked top 30. We went through 6 open qualifier games versus multiple paid teams. How is anyone supposed to get up when almost nothing is ranked? And I feel like there's an important thing to know about Snappy here, right? Because everyone understands that, like, oh, Snappy doesn't like partner systems, Snappy doesn't like this, Snappy doesn't like that. That is not true. That is not true. Snappy didn't like Blast's partner system. He had no issue with ESLs because ESLs had a lot of open opportunities. And that was the only issue with the partner system. The only issue with the partner system was how few opportunities there were in the Blast circuit. Where in the Blast circuit, you had to do well in every other event all year round to get to a world final, which Mouse did 2 years in a row. And then there were 2 spots from showdowns, right? That was bad. If you looked at ESL events, other than Pro League, there weren't actually that many ESL partner slots throughout the year. A lot of it was decided by their world ranking, and sure, you might pad a bit of world ranking because you've got that partner slot for a Pro League invite. but there's 2 pro leagues a year.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot more tournaments. Like,
I'm not a massive fan of the partner system either. I understand.
I don't care for it.
Like, I understand that it's probably financially necessary for some of these orgs, like whatever. But from a viewer standpoint, from a competitive standpoint, I like things to be as open as possible. Like, prove if you are the best team in the world, you should have to prove that by beating whoever. Like, you shouldn't just have to prove you're the best team in the world by beating Mouse every event. Like, you should have to beat fucking Bad News Eagles. You should have to beat Aurora. Like, what? Like, how do you know if the team 70th in the world is better than the team 32nd? They will never be able to prove it. You could be the 32nd Valve team in the world and be much, much worse than the team who's like 50th. And it will take months and months for that to catch up. By which time you should say form is temporary.
Well, that is the thing with NiP. Like, this NiP team, they could be quite good, but they're stuck in a gauntlet of online qualifiers. And because of what we've had the last few years, people have forgotten what that fucking means.
Mm-hmm.
People have forgotten that online qualifiers are literal fucking dog shit, unfortunately. And you get some of the most random results. Like, you know, years ago, I can remember it was a while that, like, Heroic had a decent team. I think Snappy was maybe on Heroic then, actually.
Probably.
But, like, NiP were also affected, where they'd fallen down enough to be in open qualifier range of the major. Because it used to be based on how you did at the major, right? So it used to be based on how you did at the major, whether you'd go to the minor or whatever. And Heroic just either wouldn't get through minors, and NiP weren't doing well enough at majors, and then weren't doing well enough at the minors. And they were just missing them after that because they were playing these online qualifiers. Online qualifiers are a fucking coin toss a lot of the time. Especially in this game where ping is even more of
I think in this game,
disadvantage.
In this game with MR12 as well, is even worse. I think the randomness of open qualifiers is largely overstated. Good teams actually did just get through the open qualifiers most of the time. And when the big teams struggled in open qualifiers, it's because they were genuinely just rubbish. Like, when NIP was struggling to get through open qualifiers, when they got through them, they were still awful. Like, they weren't good. This NIP might actually be good.
Well, you say
we'll
that,
never know.
Envy used to get through every fucking open qualifier and stink the place.
Okay. If Envy are consistently getting through open qualifiers...
No, but some teams are just onliners. Like, that is a thing.
Fine, but...
There has always been onliners.
Yeah, fine. I don't think it's worse because of MR12. I think on CSGO it actually wasn't that.
I also think ping is a big thing. Ping feels horrible in CS2.
Yeah, I think that's a problem with CS2 rather than the CS2. I think it should be more open than it was before, never mind more restricted.
And I imagine fucking... I think they both ended up forfeiting the game because they had a Blast qualifier to play. But I think NiP played what would be Koi. Like, I imagine that's not a nice ping difference, really.
No, probably not.
Given where everyone in that server would have been from, because that was a Spanish team. They're called like Iberian Soul, maybe.
I don't know.
Something like that.
I honestly have no idea.
I mean, look, I don't care. I'm never going to watch a team like that play. But what are they meant to do, man? And
I don't know. The thing is, it has to take somebody like NIP being in a team that people actually know and care about before anyone even notices. If this was like, I don't know, if this was a Polish team complaining about it, nobody would care. They'd be like, oh, you're shit anyway. It's not until somebody like Snappy, and this is no disrespect to Snappy, because I think he actually would stand up for the little guy, as it were. But it would take somebody like him being at this, a team with the caliber of NIP, like the name of NIP being there before anyone even realizes. Because in CS, people do not care about small teams because nobody supports small teams in Counter-Strike. In football, like the sport you and I grew up on, Macclesfield Town have fans. Not many of them, but they have fans. And when somebody will stand up for them.
My local team get like 1,000 to 2,000 fans a game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like pretty fucking loyal fans. Like they're in Division 6 of England. Mm-hmm. There was a point where I was going week in, week out, but me and my mate both got busy and we just stopped doing it. Like,
yeah. But who's sticking up for...
It's so different in Counter-Strike.
Yeah, who's sticking up for fluffy gangsters or K27. Like, who's sticking up? Nobody is, because nobody cares.
The one thing I will say, though, and bless him, because he's a good bloke and he's a very intelligent bloke as well, but Demps of HLTV fame, he retweeted Snappy's tweet and said, I was excited about the changes for 2025 in terms of breaking up franchise-style events, but the VRS system is not really playing out as an open circuit. There is very little chance for teams lower down in the pecking order to actually pick up points. And genuinely, right, Demps, mate, I doubt you watch this, but if you do, what the fuck did you think was going to happen? And if you do watch this, please DM me and come on next week.
I really didn't think the leopards were going to eat my face.
Like, actually, come on next week and 10 minutes, we'll do the whole show with us, whatever. Just come and talk about what you thought this year was going to be. Because this year was fucking obvious to me when they announced that they were taking down the franchise system. Mm-hmm. And they did that, Cologne 23? 22?
Something like that. I don't remember.
23.
I can't even remember that. I don't even remember. I don't remember Katowice this year.
No, it was Cologne 23 because me and Harry were going to Phantasialand and they announced it while I was on the way to meet him in his hotel. So we spent half an hour in his hotel saying this will be fucking terrible. No one realises why this will be so bad. Teams will be fucked. And then as they've announced further things down the road, it's just become clear. And now we see the impact of the Valve ranking system. And it's fucking dog shit.
Anyone who comes up with a system where I don't have to watch FlyQuest versus MIBR in the lower bracket, I am all for. That's I'm sorry, I know I rag on FlyQuest and MIBR every week, but that's because they're in the lower bracket at every fucking event. I don't want to fucking watch them anymore. I'm sick of FlyQuest versus MIBR. I'm sick of it.
Okay, let's move on to the take of the week, shall we? And this one this week comes from Thorin.
Okay, this is what I wasn't ready for this.
We're taking a risk this week. We're risking the wrath of the Ginger Man, which you feel frequently because you are the
no comment. No comment.
Oh, sorry. Am I not meant to say
no comment? No comment.
Sorry. Okay. Anyway, so Thorin this week tweeted, Denmark, Sweden and Brazil are all in the same boat. The talent is there for a top 5 team in the world, but nobody can put them all together. I'm not sure I agree with that.
I just disagree. I just disagree.
I'll accept Denmark.
But
maybe
Astralis have put them together and they're fucking rubbish.
But I don't think Astralis have. I think
they've tried every variation of Danish players that aren't Carragher.
I don't think that's true. I think if Astralis had, Tessos and Shush should be on the team, not Stown and Yabi. Fine, and I think that was obvious when they got Stown and Yabi. It wasn't as obvious as it is now because Tessos isn't what he is now. Still pretty fucking obvious how important Tessos was.
So what do you think? Carrigan, Tessos, Device, Shush. You're going to say blame. I'm not.
I think
this is the problem.
I think it has to be him or Yabi.
Yeah, exactly. That team's not top 5.
It could be.
The only reason it could
it's not consistent top. It's not consistent top 5, but I think it could be top 5.
It might get a top 5 once or twice a year. It's not like Tessos and Shush are excellent, but Device is not what he used to be.
No, he isn't.
And it's quite funny to me that
but I called him a system than Brokey.
Yeah, it's fine. I called him a system player 5 years ago, and I was told, no, he'd be great in any system, and then he left Astralis and hasn't won an event since 2020. He's never won an event without Dupree.
I feel like that's missing some context. I'm not going to disagree with you because you'll straw man your way through it, but I feel like it is missing some context.
No context needed.
Okay. Sweden, though. Actually, no.
Yeah,
no. Let's do Brazil first, right? Who AWPs, who IGLs?
Yeah, so this is the problem with Brazil, right? They have loads of, they have plenty of really good aggressive riflers, and they have nothing else.
Queserato.
Yeah, okay. You've got Queserato, you can take your pick of 2 out of 40 aggressive riflers, and then your IGLs and AWPers are limited to Fallen,
NQC, Biguzera.
Yeah.
And look, mate, I like Biguzera. he can stay.
But then who AWPs? That's the problem.
You're stuck with Fallen or NQZ, mate, and I'll tell you what, NQZ, as good as Payne might end up being, who knows?
He's the bottleneck.
He's the bottleneck of that team.
Yeah. There's no... the problem is it has to be Fallen or FiGL. And look, I love Fallen, man. I absolutely love Fallen. But he's not a top 5 in-game leader anymore.
It is really funny, though, how... Like, Fallen built the Brazilian team, but he did just unfortunately build it out of Jenga blocks.
And he has ruined Brazil because all of their in-game leaders now just want to AWP. It's so they have players like Woody. What is Woody doing with an AWP?
Woody.
He should not be AWPing.
Might be an okay IGL, but his AWPing was shit.
He should not be allowed to buy an AWP. The game should stop him. He shouldn't be allowed. He shouldn't be allowed to have it in his loadout.
No. Sweden. So, like, Brazil, maybe you can make a top 10 team. We'll say that. Maybe it's on the same par as Denmark.
Yeah. Fury are like 10th.
It. How long?
Yeah, fine. But you could make the argument Fury are a 10th.
So, yeah, like... Okay, so maybe you get a top 10 team out of these two. And they still, maybe this would qualify for a take of the week, right? Maybe it would. Sweden.
Yeah, no idea.
Fucking Sweden.
You know what we just said?
Who on earth are you putting into a fucking Swedish team to make them top 5?
Hear me out.
No.
Hampus.
No.
Flusher.
No.
And then I'm stuck. That's it.
Genuinely, based on 5 weeks of this year, Res.
Yeah, fine. Brolan is in-game leader.
ZTR.
Yeah. FaZe.
So Res, ZTR, FaZe. Who are the other two
Forest.
fellas on? Who are the fine? Who's the other fella on? Youngster. He's Swedish, isn't he?
Yeah.
Who is that? Well, that's 5 with Forest. Yeah, Nilo. Okay, now we've got 5 and fuck
Isaac.
Okay, now we're really scraping. But like, you might be in the top 20. Well done.
Right, you know what you said about for Brazil, who in-game leads, who AWPs? Sweden, who AWPs?
Well, it has to be FaZe.
Or Nork. Like,
Draken.
Oh, now we're talking. I have heard if an IP had signed Johnny Speeds, they would have been much better. Which means maybe Draken is better than we think.
We did also forget Susp, by the way, who's actually like quite legit.
Yeah, he's fine.
Susp is decent.
He's worse than JBA, but that's, you know.
But genuinely, like, what had Thorin smoked when he thought that Sweden could have a top 5 team? Like, I would love to know who he thought, and maybe he could convince me. I'm willing to hear him out.
I'm not. I'm not hearing that out. I'll hear Brazil. I'm not hearing Sweden.
I doubt I'll be convinced.
I'm not hearing Sweden. Who's AWPing? Who's AWPing? Look,
no.
FaZe, man. I like FaZe. I've met him. He's a lovely bloke. He is not the AWPer of a top 5 team in the world. He's just not. He's good on wildcard.
Okay, I need to move on now. Let's talk about the actual Katowice that's happening. So the playoffs are set. The teams through to the semi-finals of Vitality and Na'Vi. The quarterfinal games are the Mongols Eternal Fire, which is a gigabanger, and Virtus Pro Spirit, which I shan't be watching.
No, you should watch that. Although, actually, Virtus Pro don't have Flamus, which really ruins it.
Well, yeah, that, but also that's like 13-3, 13-3, mate.
No. If I'm telling you, VP could muddy that game, right? That is all.
They don't have Jame anymore, Elliot.
Yeah, no, exactly. They don't have Jame anymore. It would just be a deathmatch. It's 10 Russian-speaking players in the server, and Dust 2 is definitely getting played. If they had Flamus, that game would just be it would just be highlight after highlight. There'd be nothing else going on.
I'm still not watching it.
I'm not now because Flowers isn't playing, but
it's going to be awful. But yeah, so they're the teams through. I would expect that we get Vitality versus Navi or Spirit in the final.
I think there's a chance Mongols versus Navi or Spirit. I think Mongols are scary. If 910 like plugs his mouse in, they're gonna batter some team. Like he was dog shit in groups. Like he was missing shots that you can't miss. And he's just missing sit.
Here's what I was going to say, right? That you'd expect Vitality make the final. They have a pretty shitty record against Eternal Fire. And the Mongols, who knows?
Mongols are good, man.
Because the thing is, right, so we were all talking about, like, during the major when they had Mouse, it's like, it's inexperience versus inexperience, but obviously the one side's actually experienced and people like to pretend that they're not. Eternal Fire are less experienced by a long way, and I have a feeling that when it clicks for the Mongols in front of a crowd, it's gonna click, and they might not win the event, but I mean, like, they could go major quarterfinals to major finals, and it won't be a struggle.
At some point this year, Mongols are going to be in an arena final.
I'm confident of that.
Like they are really scary.
So, in that sense, I actually think that side of the bracket's quite interesting and could be very, very fun. The other side of the bracket, I think the quarterfinal will stink.
Yeah, it will. Now.
I don't agree with you.
If Flammus was there, it would be more interesting because
this
VP are talented, man.
Yeah, just still not sure they're that good.
They're not that good. I'm just saying they could make a game ugly.
Look, they beat Eternal Fire, which is impressive. Right now, I'm not going to say a team beating G2 is impressive. I'm really not. Because I think, like, the win conditions for beating G2, there are actually just so many right now. That a lot of the times, like, G2 are going to win anyway because they've got, like, 2.5, maybe 3 really strong players. And occasionally Hunter just decides he's going to play like Hunter once did.
I do think the sort of G2 talent level is... I've been a big proponent of it, but like...
I think it's overstated.
They're not as scary when it's not Nico and Malbs. Heavy God's good, but he just doesn't command the same level of respect.
No, he doesn't, and I'm also sticking by what I said a few weeks ago. Malbs ain't Nico yet.
Not yet.
He ain't Nico yet. He might
be.
be. He might be by the end of the year. He's a long way off right now. I
think the really, really loose, basically not in-game leading style of in-game leading was actually a good fit when you had Nico, Malbs, Monacy.
And I'm also willing to bet that Nico was making a lot of calls.
Probably.
Because I also remember some very key rounds in G2 games last year where you could tell by how the round played out, Nico had decided what happened in the mid-round. You could just fucking tell. There's one that really sticks out to me, and it was on Dust 2, and Nico found himself down in CT spawn on the T side. And it's like, there is absolutely no fucking way Snacks has had any input on that round. He might have said out spawn, fine, like, we'll try do this round that we came up with, and it's a round where Nico gets, like, gets into that position or tries to get around that position. But everything that came after that, all the rotations that were based off it, that's come from Nico. There's no way that's not come from Nico.
It has to, though. If you're the lurk in that position, you have to dictate the round. You have to. Sure. But like, I think the super loose style works when you have Nico, Malbs, Monacy. I'm not sure it's quite as scary when it's Malbs, Heavy God, Monacy. It's just not.
Yeah.
It works when you are de facto the most talented team in the world. Whereas, man for man, are they scarier than Vitality?
No.
Probably not anymore.
No, it's not a probably. They're not.
I don't know.
No, they're not. Ridiculous.
We'll see.
I don't think they are at all.
Not with Heavy God.
But so G2, well, I think all that was left to say of the playoffs is that Na'Vi Spirit could be really good. Kind of more depends on Na'Vi than Spirit.
Yeah, Donk's going to show up and put on a show. It's kind of like, can you live with him? And if you can, it becomes a really good game.
It's just kind of whether we get Na'Vi in the group stage of Kato or we get Na'Vi in Bounty, whatever it was. Did they play each other in Bounty? When did they play each other?
It was at the... I can't remember. Must have been.
Just major. I don't know. It was just something where it was like, all right, Na'Vi just aren't really...
They battered them at the major. Spirit.
Yeah, they're just not really showing them. But anyway, look, let's talk about the teams that have gone out. Falcons went out in last place. They lost 2-0 to Eternal Fire, 13-7 on Inferno 35 and Train. It wasn't even fucking close. And then they lost 2-1 to G2.
I will say, Jean Tara's has been on a fucking mission this event. He has been on a ridiculous. He's so good. Like, losing to, like, getting backed by Eternal Fire, it just happens sometimes. Like, Jean Tara's is ridiculous at the moment.
Yeah. Falcons, though, look, Nico and Tesses didn't play well. Magisk played okay. Degster, I just don't.
Look, they lost to Eternal Fire and G2. I know what we just said about G2.
They're good. They're good games to lose.
Yeah, it's like you're a pretty new team. You lost to Eternal Fire, who've been a very solid team at this level for a long time, and G2 you can sort of narrowly lose to, and it's like,
yeah.
I don't want to, like, I'm not going to say, they're absolute shit, because you narrowly lost to G2 in the lower bracket. It's kind of unlucky, actually. Like,
I will say, though, if shit like this is happening in, when's Major? June or in February now? If shit like this is happening in April, get fucking Sonic gone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
get
yeah.
him fucking gone, because you've got to blame Sonic. You absolutely have to blame Sonic. Like,
yeah, if it's multiple different in-game leaders, multiple different calls.
Fuck all with Snappy, who did a load of Saw before that, and has done things with other IGLs further back in his career, other coaches even, further back in his career. And now he does it with Kixan, who's had Saw and Miffa. I don't think Miffa's particularly great, but that kind of benefits the point. Like, what the fuck is Sonic doing?
Yeah.
Actually, what is he doing? Because I don't think he's doing anything at this point.
I don't think Falcons are a complete write-off yet, but that's obviously not a good sign either.
No, they're not a complete write-off, and I didn't think this team... Well, maybe I did. I thought they'd be better than this.
They might be soon.
Again, they played some hard teams in this one. And, like, Eternal Fire are really good, but maybe Eternal Fire will just be Falcons' bogey team anyway. Like, who knows?
Eternal Fire are just, like, a legitimate, like...
Yeah, they're really good.
5th or 6th best team in the world. Like,
yeah.
So
who knows? It's like, it's too early really with Falcons. It's just funny that it happens.
Oh yeah. It's obviously funny.
Big and Furia also went out last place. I just...
You know what I was saying about Big? Like, they looked terrible against Wildcard. This is exactly what I expected. I don't know how they hammered Heroic before they did this.
I tell you what, though, the thing that really amused me about Big is that in a few interviews recently, they've talked about how JDC is like really, really good on Ancient, and they might be the best Ancient team in the world. They lost it 13-10 to FaZe.
And 13-11 to 3 Max. How do Big think they're the best Ancient team in the world? This is like... You can't be this delusional. You're obviously not the best Ancient team. You might be the best Ancient team in the world compared to how good you are at another map. But you're not the best Ancient team. That's just fucking ridiculous. You're not the best Ancient team in the world.
It's a fucking joke, that statement. I couldn't believe it when I heard it. And I was really looking forward to them then playing a team on Ancient and losing. And it happened twice.
That's just fucking mental. Like... You're not the best Ancient. You're not even close to the best Ancient team in the world.
Either way, they're out. Who gives a fuck? Furia.
The best Mirage team in the world.
10th best team in the world. Apparently, right now.
Just like to say, they played Navi on Mirage and lost 13-3. Yeah, exactly.
They got spanked by Navi, and then they played Astralis in, by the way, fucking awful game. Was that on B Stream?
I think, yeah. That was the one I said nobody won. Somebody posted a picture of the scoreboard and said, "Who do you think won in this game?" I was like, nobody won in this game.
Yeah, that
was
game
dreadful.
was awful. If Liquid and Complexity was two teams like trying to see who's worse, that game was two teams like. I actually can't think of a.
I think this was the game I tweeted something about Cello. Cello had genuinely one of the worst games I've ever seen. Like he was absolutely useless.
It was
the whole series. The whole series. He was
no, but
useless.
You tweeted it out during Dust 2 and No, you tweeted it out during Inferno. He was 4-17.
Yeah, and he didn't get much better from there.
Dust 2, he went 9-13, and then Nuke, he went 17-15. He was their top fragger on Nuke.
Okay, I must have lost consciousness for Nuke. You wouldn't surprise me. And it was a dreadful game. It's actually an indictment of Astralis that they won it. I hated that game. I hated it.
I mean, the Inferno scoreboard is mental. Like, whoever edits this shit, please bring up the Inferno scoreboard. Like, I don't care we don't have graphics for it yet. Just slap it in front of one of our faces. Like, it's fucking hell. I mean, does Dust 2 need to go up as well? Yeah, whack Dust 2 up as well.
Yeah, it was a terrible game of Counter-Strike. Nobody won.
Each map was won by one player playing well.
Yeah. It's one of those games where you actually just think, don't even bother putting one of them through. Just put them both out.
Hang on. Wasn't Inferno the map that Device ended it with a really nice... Was it this series? Device ended a game on Inferno with a nice 4K on the A site.
After I watched Cello play for about 5 minutes, I was glazed over.
I can't see it in the highlights on HLTV, so maybe it wasn't this one. But if it was, right, he ended the game with a 4K. If it was this, that means that before that round he was 6-14.
Yeah,
it might not be that one. It might not be, but if it was.
I promise you, nobody played well at any point in that game. It was awful.
Yeah, terrible game. That
I'm just so glad Astralis went out immediately afterwards because, they are genuinely rubbish.
Awful. They are awful. Yeah,
they're really bad. I'm a known Astralis hater. I always will be. But they are genuinely bad. They are just Game Elite PR on its own. Destroyed them. I mean, he was an academy player 2 months ago. You're letting an academy player do that to you.
He did have his way with them.
It's just he absolutely rinsed them on Mirage. What was his scoreline? 29-7 on Mirage. He had 3 teammates going negative, and they won 13-7.
Even Furia would have stopped him from doing that. Well,
I don't know.
Maybe not.
He was going to I don't want to talk about Astralis Fury.
So the other team to go out in last place was Mouse.
Rubbish.
You get what you fucking deserve.
I mean, they didn't have Spinks, which is the one qualifier.
No, they didn't have Spinks, and maybe it's a good sign for Roland that they got 13-9, 13-11 by Game of Legion. Look, I'm fucking trying, Elliot. All right, I'm trying to be positive. They were always going to go out last place. Let's move on.
Especially playing Game of Legion and Liquid. To be fair, neither of them were mugs.
We mentioned earlier, Game of Legion might be the 8th best team in the world. They went out 7th-8th because they had a nightmare lower final game. They played Spirit, but they won a fucking map.
Yeah.
Now they got fucking. They got dumpstered on the other 2 maps, right? So the the second and third maps were 13-6 on Ancient and 13-4 on Nuke, which Spirit both won. But they did open the series with a 13-11 on Anubis. Now, this means one of 2 things. Or it could mean both, I suppose. Game Legion are actually quite good, which I think it probably does mean. The things we're noticing about Anubis might be true.
Yeah.
It might be Inferno.
Did you see the stat on Anubis? The difference in Anubis T-side win rate and the second highest Dust 2 T-side win rate is bigger than the difference between Dust 2 and the most CT-sided map. So, like, between second and seventh in the map pool is, like, this much, and then between Anubis and Dust 2 is, like, this much.
That's actually...
Yeah. It's, like, 59% T-side win rate. The game is not supposed to be T-sided.
Anubis might have to go before Inferno.
It needs to be changed.
I don't know how.
I haven't played enough recently to be really in tune with how. My feeling was always that mid was really obnoxious as a CT. There's not enough places to play.
It is horrible. I hate playing mid.
You get really like choke pointed if you try and play passive. Like you just get stuck, and you stand in the way of your rotating players if you play passive. And if you play aggressive, you basically just maximum go 1-for-1.
So that's the thing as well. Like mid is like. It's so different compared to other maps because it's such like a late round or like mid to late round portion of the map that like typically as well you're just going to get fucking caught out.
Yeah.
Like
you need 7 players to play CT side Anubis. And I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
You need like 4B, 2 mid, 1A. It's so hard. It's really hard.
It's it needs work that it's not going to get because of train.
Yeah.
And I think it'll become a problem. Will it become more of a problem than Inferno?
Inferno is so miserable.
Inferno is terrible.
It's so miserable to watch. I'm not getting into that now. We're already over an hour. We need to finish Katowice and get to bed.
So the last team is FaZe. They're FaZe.
Yeah, they had a barnstormer against Eternal Fire. Chantares, again, he was not losing that game. He was just on a mission. He had like 40-odd kills by the end, I think. It was like him versus Brokey. He had 49 kills in a 25-22 game, 47 rounds. He had 49 kills.
But the other thing, right, given what we just said about Anubis, Eternal Fire, very good Anubis team, by the way.
Probably the best.
Dumpstered FaZe on that map.
Yeah, they're incredible.
So, I know what we've said about FaZe in this episode. I think they're a while off getting to the point where they might be good. I've just got a feeling it's going to take them a little bit longer to get their bullshit trophy win.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is they lost one of the things that made them so bullshit. Like, Rops' ability to... FaZe won far too many 2VXs with like Rops Brokey or Rops plus Frozen. And it's just... Rops is so good in those situations. Yeah. And Elysia isn't alive in those situations. They lost a late round player and gained an early round player. In theory, they can become a better general team. I think they've probably lost a little bit of the magic, but only time will tell.
There's only one thing left to do, really, because we're going to be gone for another week now before our next episode. So, when our next episode kicks off, who will we be talking about as the winners of Katowice?
Natus Vincere. I've run the calculations. They beat Spirit in the semis, and they beat...
Did they use it all up too early, though? Because that's why I'm not going to say Na'Vi.
Na'Vi have got a lot of it. Whatever it is. Because the thing is, the teams they're going to play in the final are either Eternal Fire, the Mongols, or Vitality. I think they're just better on stage than Mongols or Eternal Fire at this stage. I think...
Yeah.
And Vitality, I think they're just a better team than. And I think it'll actually take quite a lot out of Vitality to beat either of those as well. So, I think Na'Vi.
All right. Well, I'm also going to throw in a curveball because I'm going to say Vitality.
I just don't believe in them. I think this is
the point they'll break their Kato voodoo.
I just don't. They're a really, really, really good team. but they just don't have that je ne sais quoi.
Isn't this already Zyru's best ever Kato finish?
It's apEX's best.
Is it apEX's best as well?
apEX is better. apEX has been playing since like before I was born.
Not quite that long.
And when this podcast comes out, I'll be 29 tomorrow. So
46.
29.
46. Anyway, podcast is over. Next week we'll both be wrong because Spirit will have won.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Donk for your 74th.
Congratulations
MVP.
to Chopper for the MVP.
Extra doubt. I've been Sam. My Twitter is at AnimoCS2. There's a 1 instead of an I. He's Elliot at AZS. Twitter famous. You might have heard of him.
Not anymore. I'm not famous anymore.
Sorry, Shire. Mac and James exist. They do things. Elliot might have been typing to look up Twitter. I hope
yes,
not.
I think it's
fuck.
Mac MACCWYD and James H Serper. They're at, I'm pretty sure.
Well, congratulations, guys. You've actually got personalities this week. Maybe. I don't know. You could just be retweeted.
I didn't say they had personalities. I said they got Twitters.
Well. Okay. Well, I'm done. See you later.